Okay, Mandi and Sterling Doty, thanks so much for being willing to be interviewed for Voices of Community Erath County Oral History Project. I wanted to start by asking each one of you, we'll start with you, Coach, introduce yourself and share a little bit about where you grew up.
Yeah, so Sterling Doty. I was born and raised in Snyder, Texas, out in West Texas. My dad started the rodeo program there in 1979. My mom worked in the high school early on and then transitioned into higher ed and ended up working at WTC as well. And then we transitioned here to Stephenville in 1994 when he got the Tarleton job.
I'm Mandi Doty. I was born here in Stephenville, Texas. Lived here my whole life until I went to college at University of Houston. Yeah, that's me.
How did so you came into Erath County, remind us the year, Coach?
Yes, in 94.
94, and you grew up here, was born here.
Yes.
What years were you in college at University of Houston?
So I graduated high school here in 2003, and so we were in Houston at U of H until I graduated in 2007.
And then came right back to Stephenville.
Yes. Well, no, we didn't come back to Stephenville. He got a coaching job in Abilene, so we were at Abilene Cooper for 8 years, and then he got his first head job in Magnolia. So we were there for 5 years, and then the head football job came open in Stephenville. And so we came here in 2019. So we were gone for 16 years and came back.
Okay, yeah. And what year were y'all married?
Okay, so we married in March 10th of 2007.
Good job.
And so Mandi and I really first started dating there my senior year. And her sophomore year, we went to Disciple Now that the First Baptist Church was putting on, and we kind of just hit it off that weekend. And
he dumped soap on my head.
Yeah, they were doing some type of fun challenge with a bucket, and I ended up dumping a whole bucket of soap on her. And
all it took was a bucket of soap.
It took that. I was flirting. No modern Snapchat or anything else like that. It was real live, person to person.
And yelling at me down the hallway.
Disciple Now, and then she was across the hall from me. I was a teacher's aide as part of student council. So our student council leader, I was her aide at the time, and she was across the hall
in Spanish.
In Spanish class. So we kind of would always see each other during that time. And we transitioned. I signed a scholarship to go play at West Point for Army. And so I was in New York for a year and a half while Mandi finished high school. Kind of that first year, we'd talk on and off, but we kind of decided that we're going to go separate ways, just with the distance and me being so far. And but really, I came back home after that first year of college, and she was going into her senior summer, and her and I kind of hit it off again, and we're like, hey, let's try to make this thing work. And so she got to come up to West Point.
Begged.
Yeah, I begged and pleaded, and she came up to West Point a couple times that fall, and then Art Browse happened at University of Houston, and I left the academy.
But I was actually going with a friend to Tech. So we already had our dorm room. Everything was planned out. And he came crying in the Stephenville High School parking lot saying, you need to go with me. Mm-hmm. Go with me to U of H. And I'm like, I've never even drove in a city. I've lived here my whole life and never even drove in Fort Worth, Dallas.
So thinking back on it.
And I said yes. Went to University of Houston, and it's the best decision I've ever made.
Being parents now, just thinking back on it, how hard it was on Kent and Terry, her mom and dad, just to let go and allow her to, hey, go drive in Houston, go live in Houston. She worked throughout her whole college career, paying for school, and so she would travel all around Houston, going to different jobs and working at a bank and working at Chili's. And so it just very thankful that we had the ability to be together through college, and we had a strong enough relationship to make it through what that phase is, and we got married. She graduated in May, and then we got married a couple months before that in March, and then started our adult lives together.
Yep.
Were y'all both aiming to be teachers? Was that what your degrees were in?
We've recently had this conversation because I said, I'm a 5th grade PE teacher now, and I went into college as a pre-pharmacy major, and before that I wanted to be a veterinarian, and Sterling was like, we would have our summers off. I'm going to be a football coach. Like, we would have our summers off and, could teach, and it'll be great. And I'm like, oh yeah, that does sound great. So, but now, being 41, I'm like, what was I thinking? But yeah, I am glad I did. It's fun. It's a fun life. And
yeah, but both of us being there in education, and so we went to Abilene, like Mandi said. There we moved in May of 2007, and started our life there, and then a year later had our first child.
So you went from University of Houston to Abilene, from Abilene to Magnolia, from Magnolia to Stephenville.
That's right.
yes,
Okay.
sir.
So what year did you guys get back to Stephenville?
So in 19.
2019.
Okay, 2019.
Yeah.
Talk about let's back up a little bit. When you got married, going through the first coaching jobs as you're moving around before you get to this head coaching position, what was life like in the Doty family as you're moving from college to Abilene, from Abilene to Magnolia, and then from here, and then we'll talk about Erath County. So guide us kind of through all those transitions.
So my family, my dad's family is from right north of Abilene, and so we had my grandparents there, and aunt and uncle and cousins were all in Abilene.
But his O-line coach from University of Houston was the head football coach at Abilene Cooper. So that's how he got into that job.
Yeah, so going into my senior year, Coach Spradlin left Houston to take the high school job in Abilene, and so that's what got us to Cooper. He said, hey, after a year, I'm gonna have a spot for you. And so he helped Mandi get on. She started in young education there, the beginning of her career, and then transitioned into quite a few different jobs there. But I would say that first year in Abilene, just as educators coming in from the college world, we were completely wiped out. As coaches, you work extremely hard, but she was a kindergarten teacher.
Yes.
We were just...
And we were married for 9 months when I found out I was pregnant. And we were supposed to be on like the 5-year plan. So I'm teaching kindergarten. I'm thinking, oh, this is great. Like everything's great. And then I find out I'm pregnant. And then 9 months later, so married for 18 months, and we have our first kid. So it was rough.
I mean, we were thinking, we're going to save money through the year, be able to vacation in the summertime, just enjoyed being just married and just it being us two. And that was short-lived. I came home from practice one night. She was just bawling. And
Well, partly because we were living in a little duplex with calico carpet, and whew, I was like, oh, this is not good.
we're going to bring a baby into the world, and human life into the world. We're not ready for that.
But when I came home to tell him, when I came home to tell him that I was pregnant, he was coming home to tell me that he thought he would take the GA job at Baylor. And at that time, the GA job at Baylor paid nothing, right? I mean,
Yeah.
so he was coming home to tell me he's going to go that route. And I'm
Get into
coming home and
college.
telling him that I'm pregnant, and that's never going to work. It's not going to work. And so,
Yeah, we were at a little bit of a crossroads, and so we just kind of settled in there to being a high school coach, and I kind of knew that was God's plan for us there at that point. And of
when
course,
actually Coach Gillespie had called you at that time too to see if you would take the O-line job in Stephenville, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, who knows? We chose that path. Would I have the opportunity to become the head coach there 12 years later, 11 years later? Would that have all worked out? Who knows? So, just life choices along the way. We chose to stay there. We had 7 great years in Abilene. 2 of our sons were born there. Cooper in 2008. Kipton.
Oh, it was the best. Because we were only an hour and a half away from family. So, both sets of grandparents were able to, they were around all the time. Both of our families are wonderful. And so, our first 2 sons, they were able to grow up around grandparents all the time, even being an hour and a half away. And it was a special time. We were young. We were part of a coaching staff there that pretty much shaped us as the head football coach and his wife. It shaped us on how we do things. We had an amazing coach's wife in Abilene that, she pretty much had this mantra of like, if your wife is happy at home, then that allows your husband to go out and do his job better.
Right.
Yeah,
And it's true. Like, so she would bring all of us coaches' wives in together, and because coaches' wives, you got to do everything. It's kind of like military wives during that time. And so she brought us together as a family, so you never felt alone. We had something going on all the time, even when our husbands were working from 5 a.m. till 9, 10 o'clock at night. We had each other, and that's just kind of shaped how we do our stuff here. And we've always done it the way that she did it, and I don't know, it was just special, because I think it's kind of like that's the only way we know.
And so
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And so you moved from Abilene to Magnolia. How long were y'all in Magnolia?
So we were down there for 5 years.
Okay.
And so I had a connection that allowed me to get inside the room, and we really fell in love with Northwest Houston, the pine trees, and just some great people, some great administrators down there. Assistant superintendent and superintendent that hired us were just great people. The principals that I worked with. You get your first head job at 31. Mandi was pregnant with our 3rd son at the time. So here we go. We're going to move 6 hours.
It's almost like every time he tells me we're moving to a new place, I'm pregnant, or at Houston to Abilene, got pregnant 9 months after we moved there. Abilene to Magnolia, I was pregnant with my 3rd one, and then Magnolia to Stephenville, I was pregnant with our 4th one. So I haven't been a lovely person to be around during these moves.
It's hard enough on its own.
And
Right.
were you a head coach in Magnolia?
I was. So I was the head coach, campus coordinator there at Magnolia High School.
And when Mandi mentioned GA, did she mean graduate assistant? Okay, so
Yeah.
you were thinking about doing graduate work. Yeah, that wouldn't have paid anything.
Yes.
No.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly.
For Coach Bryles, actually,
Yeah,
at that
there
time.
at Baylor.
Yeah.
because he had got the Baylor job at that
He
time.
was transitioning, from Houston to Baylor there from it'd be January 2008.
It's incredible to think about the transition of coaches who are. Would you say that Coach Bryles is a generation or 2 generations above you? Like, how would you classify that?
I would say one generation.
One generation. So it's
My
interesting to
parents'
see
age.
those movements happen where I'm sure that you could track that, where you've got head coaches that are coming up under these other coaches like Coach Bryles. That's really interesting.
Yes.
That's really interesting to think about. So you moved to Stephenville, 2019. Talk about life. You're pregnant with your 4th son?
Daughter.
Daughter, okay.
So we have 3 boys and a little girl.
Okay, so you're pregnant with your 4th child.
Yes.
You get the head coaching job in Stephenville. Talk about life in Erath County in 2019.
Well, I think.
Should I tell him what you said? You said,
Yeah, go ahead. You're going to. So
he said, we're moving to Stephenville whether you like it or not.
we really love Magnolia.
It was
a great
amazing.
place. We had done some great things with the kids and the staff there. They've really turned some things around in the football program, and again, great staff, great kids, and it all came together well. It came out about a year later, kind of while Mandi was hesitant to come back home initially. It's just so hard to leave a place that you love, and really, you're going to get back in and invest back in with your family and have the ability to be around them daily. And so know that in our profession, it's hard to stay anywhere too long. Other opportunities are going to come, or it may not go well.
I get a little attached to these places. But I knew how hard it was to leave Stephenville after being born and raised here your whole life. It's a very hard place to leave emotionally. Mm-hmm. And I knew how hard that was. And so I knew it was going to be hard. Just being a coach, you don't ever know how long you're going to be somewhere. So I'm like, you're going to take me back to our hometown. I'm going to get comfortable again. And then you're going to make me leave. So that was always in the back of my mind.
Yeah. And so Mandi was in service, and her water broke. And so they call me. I go pick her up. We drive to the hospital, and we have Connor that afternoon. And so she's
water broke at Chamberlain Elementary.
During in-service.
During teacher in-service, my first year.
And what grade were you assigned to teach that year?
So I was teaching third grade.
Okay.
So in Abilene, I taught kindergarten, and then I stayed home for 6 years with our younger two, or our older two. And in Magnolia, I was the 6th grade PE teacher, and then I started the pre-athletics program in at that 6th grade campus. So I did that while we were there. Then there wasn't a PE job open here, so I took a 3rd grade math and science job through, it was during COVID. Mm-hmm. So I had my water broke during teacher in service, so I did not start the school year. Went back in November and taught until that March, and then we got out for spring break and never went back that year.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And so your first fall was fall of 19.
Yes, sir.
Can you talk about being a Stephenville coach? You got one fall. What was the fall of, I'm guessing spring training got kind of thrown out, and then the next fall, talk about being a head coach here, because you've got a very successful program here. Mm-hmm. But coming up through COVID as a head coach, what was that like?
Yeah, so that was it was hard on all of us. And it's so hard for us to wrap our minds around. In 2019, we had a very young team. The numbers were down. We had 31 through the regular season and then 36 to go into the playoffs with. We got beat in the second round versus a very good team. And so, we build championships in the off season. So I know how critical January through August is. And so for us not to have ability to come back from spring break and really boost our numbers, and just the whole unknown piece of, is it ever going to happen? Okay, we kind of figured it out there in May. Well, they eventually allowed us to kind of start working out the kids under some strict restrictions there in June, get back around the kids, but we're all just trying to make up for lost time at that point, and try to put together the best product on the field that we could, all the while, wearing masks and having to wear a mask when we're, working out in the weight room to transition into running sprints and all the protocols and all that. So it was very challenging, I believe, just on educators, just in general and athletically for sure.
One of the things is, the kids, I was teaching kindergarten, so I spent a year teaching during mask time, and teaching letter sounds through a mask is kind of impossible. but I've never, and I've thought about education gaps, but I've never, until sitting here with you, thought about athletic gaps. And the idea that that time maybe really hindered, but it did it across, well, the country, right?
Yes.
I'm guessing everybody felt the same stress, right?
Yes, and so we would send workouts out, through our communication, and we would put a TV on your back, put some backpacks in a backpack, squat. We'd come up with ways to get when we didn't have the ability, if you didn't have a home gym, to work out, and so yeah, it's very unique.
Yeah, so he was doing that on that side of it, and then I was teaching. Was it Zoom that we had to do everything through? I think it was Zoom for third
Yeah, doing
graders.
some
And then
lessons and-
keeping up with all of our kids. We had one in kindergarten, one in second grade, one in kindergarten, one in second, and then one in fourth. So it was a crazy time.
And an infant,
And an infant,
Yeah.
right?
yes.
So I know you grew up here in Stephenville. Coming back to Stephenville, what were the places that maybe weren't around anymore, or the places that were around that you introduced Sterling to as just kind of the places that you remember?
We kind of grew up around the same things, though. Are you talking restaurants?
Sure, restaurants, hangouts, those kinds of things.
Santa
Yeah.
Fe.
Yeah, so Santa Fe Taco, that no longer is around.
I'm so sad about that.
Very popular joint. I mean, talking about high school days all the way to coming back here. Anytime that we come visit family, Santa Fe was going to be on the list. Also in high
Pizza
school.
place. And
Yep.
that's kind of been, it's just changed a lot since we've even been here. So when we were in school, it was over there by like KCUB, like right in front of, right beside Tarleton Stadium. And that's where it had always been. And when we came back home, it was out there by the loop, right?
Yes. Yep. That was right there by the Hampton Inn, where the tea place is now, right across the street from there. And now it's moved locations, I guess, 2 more times since that.
Yeah.
We're glad it's still around. And so that's great. I think one that we lost was Chihuahua's.
Oh,
And very popular burger spot, just had a wide variety of add-ons. And so that was his favorite spot in high school. And at some point through the years, it went out of business.
Southwestern Thrill. It was great. The burger there. We would always go on dates there. So we were like, oh, wish Chihuahua's was here.
And that was located across the street?
It was like, is it Church's Chicken now?
One point it was
No,
a Church's
Golden Chick. It's
Golden
Golden
Chick
Chick
by
then.
Sonic. It was there, and then it transitioned out to like where Anytime Fitness is, in the shopping center by MeFam. And then
remember
I
that.
think it went out. I think that was the last location it had. So Southwestern Thrill, that was her burger that she got there.
Yeah.
That was her specialty at Chihuahua's.
Yep.
Of course,
Cheese fries and ranch. Another big one that is not here anymore that we loved was Golden China. And that's not here anymore. That was in the Bosque River Center right beside the movies. Yeah, that one. And
As far as hangouts and things go, you're talking about just kind of making the drag Sonic to Sonic was kind of the main spots, and kind of hanging out in the Bosque River Center.
And I think it's been called the drag. I mean, even since my mom was born and raised here too, and went through school here, and she's like, they called it cruising the drag on a Friday night. We called it cruising the drag, really on a Saturday night, because everybody's at a football game on Friday, and that's never changed in Stephenville. So
Especially in our timeline,
Yeah.
before Coach Browse got here in '88, they probably did do it on Friday night.
yeah,
But
yeah.
Jake and Dorothy's. You brought up Jake and Dot's.
Yep.
Tuesday hamburgers. We joke. I think it probably happened a couple times, but my dad wouldn't let us get cheese on it because it cost 35 cents. It was $1 hamburger, and he's like, "I'm not going to pay 35 cents for."
So he brought his own slice of cheese.
Me and my brother would sneak cheese in our pockets and to put it on a cheeseburger. But yeah, the chicken fried steak there. That's some of the favorites. And then Heartache came into town, very popular now.
And Chili's. Chili's came, I guess, when I was in high school, and it's still here. Okay. That's really the only restaurant, that's...
Montana's, always a big staple with the chicken tenders and cheese fries. It's just a place where we always went in high school.
Mm-hmm.
So what are the Doty? Well, before we get there, what about community events? Obviously, Friday Night Football.
Yes.
But in terms of other community events and traditions that the family enjoys here in Erath County, Stephenville, what are the things that y'all enjoy doing?
I think it's hard coming back because our lives are revolved around athletics so much.
Mm-hmm. And they always have been. I mean, I cheered through junior high and high school here, and he played football, and it's all we've ever known. Mm-hmm. Football's all we've ever known.
Baseball game last night. Tomorrow night we'll be in Clyde for a doubleheader softball game. Friday night be baseball in Brock. Next week we'll have regional track. So literally our lives now as adults really revolve around that schedule. Yes. Especially being the athletic director, because when I first came in, our first 4 years, I guess, our first 4 years, I was just the head football coach. So I supported all the other sports, but I wasn't tied to it. I didn't have to stay and be an administrator on duty or anything like that. But now, taking on that role and being the AD for 3 years, it's a lot more stress, pressure, and springtime is absolutely crazy. Probably, the 4th of July parade, the 4th of July fireworks were big. Yeah. I remember Moolah Fest. Of course, growing up in rodeo, always the Tarleton Rodeo is a big one. It's always the last rodeo of the year. So I remember living in Snyder, and then I would only get to, with school, I'd only get to go to a couple every year, but it seemed like I always went to Tarleton because it was the last one of the year, and they got to decide who were the regional champions and reserve and who was going on to nationals. And so me and my brother usually got to go to Tarleton. So we have a lot of great memories of coming down, going to Mr. Gaddy's. There used to be Mr. Gaddy's where Cotton Patch is now, and they used to have a great arcade. There was a spaceship.
It was called Mazzio's.
Mazzio's. I'm sorry. It's not Gaddy's. Hello. I'm sorry.
You have to be born and raised in Stephenville to know that.
I know. But Mazzio's was a great spot. And
you would take all your grades in, and Mazzio's would give you tokens. Mm-hmm. That's a good one. I forgot about Mazzio's, but you would take your report card in, and they would give you all these tokens, and however many A's you had, that's how many tokens you would get to play in the little. Looking back at it, you thought it was a huge, gaming center. It was tiny, but as a kid, it was huge.
Wow. Well, you're our youngsters of the group that have been interviewed so far, so you're the first ones to mention
Mazzio's.
Yes.
All right.
Yep. What are traditions like at home? What are Doty traditions that may be passed down from both sides of the family, or that you guys have built together as a married couple?
What do you think? What would you say?
I think just anytime we are home, just the ability to be together in terms of, watching movies or being outside.
We love to stay up late. We stay up all night, but then we sleep till noon. And our kids have fallen into the same category.
Into being a night out. And so, it took me a while to get there in terms of staying up late and then the process of sleeping in. But I just finally got to it and looked at it and said, like, okay, it's the same hours of sleep, no matter 10 to 6 o'clock. 8 hours is 8 hours, and it's kind of, I can justify it now that way. So I think just staying up, playing games,
We like playing ping pong.
watching movies, ping pong, darts, out in the garage.
But really, watching movies is our jam. Like, when we were at University of Houston, there was a movie theater that, like, all we had in Steve Mill was the Cinemark. It's still here today. It's the same thing it's always been. But in Houston, it was like this 5-story movie theater.
Palace,
So,
reclining chairs.
yes. When he was off from football, like, we would usually do Sundays, we would plan out our day. Like, we would go through and we'd be like, okay, we're going to go see this movie at 11:45. Then we've got to get to the 3rd story to see this movie at 3. I mean, we watched like 5 movies in one day.
Yeah,
we
I
left
think
there
that
at
was
midnight.
That was our record. Was 5. You'd have to throw an
So we
animation
really loved movies.
movie in there because at one time there's not going to be too many great movies.
We're like, we got to get from floor 3 to floor 1 to floor 2.
We would see all the different managers that would come into work. It was like unlimited popcorn, so I'd go refill on a different story, so they wouldn't catch us.
But as far as traditions, I mean,
I think just with our parents being here,
yeah, with our parents
all
being
the
here,
holidays.
we haven't really had to split all that up because they both live here.
So that's been really
like some
nice.
families, like even my siblings, I have 3 other siblings, and they have, some have married to people that weren't from here, and so you have to share those holidays. Whereas like us, both sets of our family live here, so it's easy.
Mm-hmm.
And both of our parents, they still cook Thanksgiving, they still cook Christmas dinner. So we
we're
kind of
still-
just bring some rolls.
Yeah, bring the add-ons. So I think that's unique to make day trips. And I will say, early on when we were in Abilene and Magnolia, coming back home, that was the challenge. That we equal time. Our moms would always say, "Oh, it doesn't matter. Whatever y'all want to do, whatever's best. But if we're only there for three nights, then." It's like we almost had to keep count of where to go, and okay, we spent 2 last time and just 1. But in our eyes, we want to try to keep it even and spend as much time equally. So I think being back here now and having both of our parents around our kids, kind of, Cooper being a junior and KJ being a kindergartner and everybody in between, get to go to all the sporting events and all the academic awards and things like that. It's just, we're blessed. The good Lord has blessed us.
Yeah. What's on the Thanksgiving table? Talk about the spread.
I would say you're both pretty traditional. Haven't
Yeah.
really got into the fried turkey. More of a baked turkey. But you're going to talk about turkey,
The
ham.
dressing. My family cooks it with sage. His family, it's the first time I'd ever had it without sage.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Love both ways, but I thought there was no way except to put sage in it.
Yeah, and for me, I was complete opposite. It was initially I was like, I'm against that. That goes against everything that it was. My dad's mom's dressing is what we've cooked ever since, and
Yeah.
it is the best.
But you've got your cranberry sauce, and then you've got your gravy. Even the gravies are a little different.
Mm-hmm.
Our gravies, you got the turkey, sweet potatoes, mashed potatoes. It is a spread. Like, both of our parents every year say, we're not going to cook a whole lot. It's a lie.
Yeah.
They cook a spread. So
Plenty of food for everybody, and I'd say traditional on both sides. And the sage is probably the biggest deal, but now I've kind of learned to love both.
Oh,
so.
and my dad, he always makes a separate oyster dressing.
Interesting.
Yeah. I've actually never tried it because I won't, but he loves it.
Yeah.
Do y'all gather together, or are you moving to different places?
Separate.
Yeah,
Okay.
2 separate.
Yes.
And with her siblings, and we may have Aunts and uncles come in, so yeah, it's separate on both sides there for Thanksgiving and for Christmas.
There's about how many grandkids on my? So we've got, because I come from a family with 4 of us, so I have 3 other siblings, and so there's 9 grandkids on my side, or is there 10?
Just 9.
9.
Justin
and then
Kylie pick it up. They only have 1. So.
Yeah.
But she's little.
But then on his side, it's only my kid. Like my kids are the only grandkids on that side, so they don't have to share over there.
Right.
Yeah.
Tell me about how the community has influenced your family as they've been growing up here since 2019, right? In what ways has the community influenced y'all's family?
I just think we've always said this, Stephenville's such a great place to raise your kids because everybody has your back. We're all in it together. The same small town Christian values are in place. The blue collar, hard work, roll up our sleeves, get the job done, and that was a big reason. Just I knew athletically what we're getting into coming back and coaching a Stephenville kid.
You're going to get good old country kids that say yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes or no sir.
Yellow Jackets, you're not going to have to coach effort. They're going to get after it in the weight room. So to come back and influence the same community the way that I was raised with our coaches. The coaches played a big role in both of our lives. So that was a big plug to be able to get us back here, to get us back home and be Yellow Jackets and Honeybees again.
Because I've said my whole life, like, Stephenville is the best place to raise kids. Mm-hmm. And as much as I loved starting out raising kids in Magnolia, well, Abilene, but our kids were really school age in Magnolia, I thought it was wonderful. But it took moving back to Stephenville to realize, wow, this is a major difference because you're closer to the city in Magnolia, and your kids are just exposed to more than they are here.
Sure.
They can stay innocent a little longer here, and it's just different. It's different being from a small town than raising them next to a city.
Right. Tell us about coaching your sons, because are all 3 of them playing football? Or I'm interested in the dynamic of almost like a teacher who has their own kids come through a class that they teach. What's it been like coaching your sons?
For
lots of parent meetings in the laundry room
between me and her.
When he makes my kid do all those roles.
16 years I coached without having a kid on my campus. Okay. And I think there's so much sacrifice and so much that Mandi raised our kids on her own because I was so tied up. I was so busy. I was so influenced raising other people's kids. And that's the calling. That's what we believe in. But once you have the ability to coach your own, that's very, very special. So when Cooper came to high school in 2023, the daily contact, see him in the hallways, just the whole process is very special. And I knew that with now Cooper being a junior, Kipton being a freshman, it's great having 2. And so there's always just going to be a new transition. Cohen is in 5th grade, and so he'll be up here before you know it.
He's with me.
Yep. He enjoys his PE teacher most days, but some days he doesn't. Monday, he doesn't like her too much.
No.
But all of them have their own. They're all a lot alike in some ways, and then a lot very different. But
and that was a tough transition because, I've been with him. He has been around. He's a wonderful father, but we're alone a lot. Like it's me and the kids a lot of the time, and so they turn 14, 15 years old and freshmen at the high school, and it's a tough transition because it's like, oh, you're done with me. You're never done, but
yeah, the feeling,
yes,
what you have as a parent, as a mother, it's like, okay, well, I guess you're gonna just rely on Dad for everything now, for your daily, just little stuff.
And I'm glad he's able to do that now because he's, it's all worth it when they get up there. All the time that he sacrificed to do the job that he loves, it's worth it when they get up there and he gets to be around them.
Now, is your youngest son on the varsity team too, right now?
Okay, so
Not your youngest, but your
Oldest.
freshman.
yes, yeah, no, this past season he wasn't, and
Okay.
then we'll see how it works out
Right.
in 26.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm interested in we have a championship program here, and I wonder. Every head coach wants to win state, I'm guessing,
Yes.
and so I wonder about I don't know if pressure is the right word, but I just wonder about the expectation of, your father is a multi-state championship winning coach, and your oldest son's part of the team, and what that kind of dynamic is like, because I imagine that you want to win, right? And I don't know, can you talk about that? What that dynamic is like between, your oldest son Cooper, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then your freshman who's striving to be on the varsity team as part of that same championship organization.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so both of them are going to have different paths. And so, for Cooper, our offensive coordinator and offensive line coach came to me this summer going into his freshman year, so in 23, and said, hey, Cooper's playing really well. It looks like we've had about 5, maybe 6 linemen we can count on. We may need to take a look at Cooper pretty fast. And I was like, no, we don't need to. Well, after the first week of two-a-days, it was pretty evident that we need one more. And so we moved Cooper up to play in the JV and varsity scrimmage. That second week of fall camp, he did really well. Next thing you know, he's a 14-game starter for us. When, really my idea was, hey, he could stay down so he could play offense and defense, maximize his time, have great success, and have a lot of fun with his classmates. As a freshman, that's kind of your last year together as a group. But our team needed him, and he played really well. And, so for Kipton, every circumstance is different. So with him and his group, we ended up moving one freshman up that played receiver. Caden had a great year, and Kipton stayed on the freshman team. They had a great year. He's getting to play quarterback, receiver,
he played on the JV team too.
and safety, and he transitioned and started some games at quarterback. We're kind of doing a rotation there on JV, and did well with his teammates. And
Actually,
so it was
you made Kipton go out of town every game.
Yeah, so when I was making the schedule, it didn't work out that way for if he'd play quarterback on freshman or JV, because they have 2 really talented kids in his class playing quarterback, him and Ethan. And so we kind of rotated who was where. And so he had a really great year. He got hurt as an 8th grader, had to have foot surgery. So he had a full, healthy year up to this point, playing football, basketball, and track. And so it's just great having him up there. There's pressure there, no doubt. And I think really he's probably feels it more than what his brother did, because his brother, it happened so fast for him. Yeah. And just being a coach's kid in general is hard.
But they're just they're 2 different positions. Cooper's an offensive lineman, and Kipton is a skill kid. Yeah. So it's just different.
Yeah. And I think that there's just pressure of being a coach's kid. It's really
hard. A
lot
of pressure.
Especially, being in a community that demands and expects so much. I mean, we have a high standard of winning.
Well, when we came here in 2019, the numbers were lower than they've ever been in Stephenville for the football program. And right when we got here, all these people that are from Stephenville are like, this is the year. We're winning state this year.
I'm thinking,
Ooh.
Give us some time. We'll get there. We got to develop a program, get the numbers up, and make it our own. I talked a lot about that first year. It was going to be a old school operation with the new school mindset. and we did it, our way with influences and honored the past. And then in 21 had the ability to win it. And after that parade that day, a prominent banker here in town came up to me, shook my hand, said, "Congratulations, coach. But now we'll get to see how good of a coach you are." see if
Never
you could do
good
it
enough.
again, So I said, you know
You
what?
see these wrinkles right here?
Hey,
They really started coming since he took this Stephenville job.
So we're going to take about 11 days off for Christmas, and then I promise you we're going to get back and get after it.
Yeah.
So it's a blessing, and at the end of the day, there's nobody puts any more pressure on than the man in the mirror. So.
Well, you mentioned a baker, so let's transition to food at home. Who does most of the cooking at home?
The drive-throughs.
We talked a little bit about just how chaotic
Yes,
it is, and
yes.
so Mandy's got to then pick up KJ and Cohen's in all their activities and sports, and then follow the boys as well. So when we do have an opportunity to eat at the house, it's
Spaghetti.
definitely Mandy, and we got our go-tos. We got
We
our
love
favorites.
breakfast for dinner.
Yep. Okay.
We love spaghetti. We eat it with ranch though. So we have our noodles and we make our hamburger meat with the ragu, just traditional ragu, and we put ranch on it, and everybody thinks it's weird, but it's the only way we know how to eat it.
Yeah, just pizza sauce,
Yeah.
Just
It's
eating
not
it with
pizza sauce.
Well, it's a marinara, or spaghetti, I guess.
And
but
then, but we cook out. We do
tacos,
burgers.
fajitas,
Yeah,
burgers,
tacos.
steaks. When I do have ability, I do like to cook out. Don't get to as much as I'd like to, but
My kids love. They don't love casseroles. So it's like with 3 boys that are as big as our boys are, it would be easy to make casseroles. You could make them ahead of time, but they don't like them. They've also been spoiled by these grandparents here that are like, "Hey, you want to come over for a chicken fried steak?" Or
yeah,
But
that's the big draw.
growing up, my mom cooked every single night. It was something, we had the same kind of things like chicken fried steak. Like chicken fried steak would be a big deal for me to make, but for my mom, it was like, we're going to have chicken fried steak tonight, like on a Monday or Tuesday night. And every night there was a meal. And Fridays we got to go out to eat. And it's crazy because we went out to eat once a week growing up, but our kids are used to like going out to eat all the time.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy how different that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, tell us about the recipe you shared. It was a pie.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So my Granny Ann is what we called her. So my dad's mom, it was her famous just pecan pie, and it's nothing special, just the Cairo syrup.
Well,
And
yeah, she changes it the way she does. It's on the back of the Cairo syrup.
Yeah,
It's
the
the
base
same
for it.
recipe on the back of it, except she does half light syrup and half dark syrup.
Right.
Yeah,
And
so
it makes it this pretty light color.
Yeah, and then just the way, you knew if you were eating it at her house, she's since passed on, and so my mom has taken over the recipe, my aunt, etc. And so every major meal we have together, Christmas, Thanksgiving, it's going to be a pecan pie, and it's going to be Granny Ann's recipe with both dark and light. But is the way that she made, I don't know, it's just perfection in her oven. And she never set a timer, but she knew she would grab it, and it's all about the jiggle. And I even put that in the recipe.
When
all
she
about
taught
the
me how to
jiggle.
make it, I said, well, how long do I cook it for? I need a time. I'm not one of those that's like, oh, just put a little bit of this in there, taste it. I needed the direct recipe, and she's like, well, you just check on it, and when you jiggle it, you jiggle the pan, and if it jiggles just a little bit like Jell-O, it's done.
Yeah. So she just had perfected it, and great. She also made really good fudge, and And then something very unique for her house and just growing up was Sunday after church, it was the same meal every single week. And so those 7 years were in Abilene when she was still able and they lived in the country. She would cook fried cornbread and a roast. And
You
it
put
was
gravy on top of the fried cornbread.
it was the best.
It's hard,
It's a
but
hard,
it was so good.
yeah, fried cornbread is what, you know, and it was just the best.
But she had the same exact thing. Like every Sunday, it was the roast, the fried cornbread, the gravy, green beans, corn, and squash, and then mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
Same gravy every time, and it wasn't like white gravy. It was
Brown.
it was brown gravy, but it was her recipe brown gravy, and then a pecan pie, and you knew exactly what you were eating every Sunday.
Yeah.
Wow. So it sounds like lots of memories come to mind when you're talking about the food you're just mentioning, and every single Sunday the same thing while you're in Abilene, or the pecan pie. So, which by the way I've gotten a taste already. So
Oh, have you?
I have.
Oh,
Nice.
Did you like it?
I did. Talk about it more off camera and that jiggle. So, okay. What makes Erath County special to y'all?
Go ahead. Born and raised.
Well, I do have an S tattooed on my wrist right here.
Yeah.
So it could mean Sterling, Steve Mill State champs. The people here are great. The community's great. I don't know. Everybody has your back here. They're going to take care of your kids. You just don't trust people like this in other places. You love the places that you've been, but there's never anything like Steve Mill, Texas. It's the best place to raise your kid or kids, and just the traditions in Steve Mill are you don't understand how blessed you are to be able to say you've won some state championships in a program like this until you've been other places and you realize how hard it is, and it's how hard it is to even make a playoff game. Because I remember in Abilene when we just made it like 2 rounds deep in the playoffs. I'm coming from Steve Mill, and then I go to University of Houston, and that's like a Steve Mill 2 at the time when we were in college. You had Coach Brawls. There were tons of Steve Mill kids that went to University of Houston, so you felt at home there. And you go win in there, the traditions of winning at U of H, and then you go to Abilene and you go 2 rounds deep in the playoffs. I don't know how many we went, but it's like, that's it. That's it. And then you go to Magnolia and you take over a program that hadn't won a playoff game since the 70s. Or hadn't been to the playoffs, right? Since the 70s?
Yeah,
when we got there? And I'm like,
back to back.
And these
District
people
champions,
in Magnolia, Texas are acting like we won a state championship in Magnolia because we made our first playoff game when we got there, and because we had a 10-win season. Like he changed that culture there in Magnolia, but you just don't realize how special it is to be from something like that until you've been other places, and it's hard to do. And it takes a whole community to do it.
Yeah, investment, time, energy, effort. You just realize, because there's a lot of nights that we talk in Abilene after a game, it's just that culture's not the same. It's the fans aren't invested, all the spirit groups, and they didn't know what they didn't know. You know, they're doing what was always done, and we had some good runs there. Then you go down to Magnolia, and it's on a Friday night. Our community has options to go see if the Rockets were in town, if the Texans, just go to the Woodlands, go to the mall. There's so many more options. So basically it was our school spirit came from, basically the people there on campus. There wasn't a big community vibe.
Yeah.
The community investment wasn't there. And so,
But I will tell you, Abilene and Magnolia both still have can fans after we've been there.
Yeah, small shaker cans.
Because
those things.
Yeah.
yes, those
Not the
things.
big propane. We didn't get that far with them, but the shaker cans.
They acted like we were crazy when it's like, you put ball bearings in a can. How annoying.
We talked about that at the Cowboys Stadium.
Oh, yeah.
Getting those things.
Oh,
Yes.
that was not nice.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to a young couple, wanting to raise their kids here?
It's the best place to raise kids. There's not another place that I will ever say is as good as Stephenville is to raise kids.
Just invest in the community, and it'll
Yeah.
invest back in you tenfold. So many great people, organizations, churches that are here to help and support you. If you ever need a helping hand, to reach out, because we've got a lot of great people.
Yeah. What do you want people to remember about your family?
I think that one thing is just, we always wanted to make an impact on the young people of Stephenville, and Mandi won't say this, but she's a great teacher, and those kids love her, and she gets the best out of them. And so I think just as educators, we always want to make kids' trajectory better and grow up into being great men and women and husbands and fathers and wives and mothers one day. And so I think that's why we're both involved in education.
Want people to remember how they were treated by you, because at the end of the day, at your funeral one day, it's not about what you did in life, but people are going to remember how you treated them and how you made them feel. So I think that's important.
Is there anything that you want to talk about that we haven't covered?
What you think?
I don't think so. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I think it's been great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, appreciate it.
Here she is, talking about she's not good at this. And then, she's crushing it.
Not.
Right, crushing it.
Yeah.